Another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obuchendo. Thanks for joining us today. Last week, the show was a little more exciting to watch. I remember talking about the fact that the Super Eagles had just beaten Iceland, and things were kind of looking up. But I always say on the show that a week in Nigeria is almost a lifetime anywhere else. And the last week, things have gone completely, for want of a better word, crazy. We heard news about incidents that happened in Plateau State where hundreds of Nigerians were hacked to death by alleged herdsmen who invaded their communities and killed them at night. And then, of course, the Super Eagles lost from the World Cup. And tragically, a couple of days ago, Lagos got its own share of bad news when a tanker exploded and scores were killed on their way home from work on the day. And those are just a few of the many stories that have hit Nigeria in the last week. Very sad. A lot of them avoidable. A lot of them as a result of bad policies or the lack of implementation of policies that already exist. So we're going to try and hopefully make some sense of some of these things that have happened today, especially with the incident in Plateau State, because, I mean, I don't know that anybody who heard that did not get jolted from wherever they were. To just kind of reflect properly on what we want to do as Nigerians and where we want this country to head. And we're going to be talking about, for the most part of the show today. I have here with me Yemi Adamolekun, Executive Director, Enough is Enough Nigeria, and Dolapo Adelano, Editor, whyniger.com. Thanks for being here today, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't even know what question to start with, because it's such a tough thing to discuss, and especially with the fact that it's not the first time we're going to be talking about, this story. It also is very almost annoying because we keep hearing stories from government. I know, yes, Boko Haram has sort of become not much of a news these days. It doesn't mean they're completely wiped out, but there's a flag that seems to be waved a lot in government about the fact that security is much better these days. But the reality on ground doesn't seem to say that, and you hear incidents like this, you see pictures, so many graphic videos were shared on social media, and these are Nigerians, and you wonder, what is really happening?
Gosh, I can't say that I can answer that question around what is really happening, but what I would say that is clear is that there's a particular role that we all play. So we're citizens in a country, and the government of the country, as the Constitution says, is responsible for lives and property. So for me, regardless of the dynamics of what some of the root causes might be or the history might be, the ultimate responsibility in protecting lives and property is government. So it's either government, and to the degree that government is working with civil society organizations, working with communities, working with religious institutions in identifying problems, preferring solutions, working with communities, then there's a lot to be said there. Now, if you look at it also from our perspective as citizens, the role that we have in being our brother's keeper, in being mindful, in understanding that what is okay and normal for you might not be what I'm very used to. But being culturally sensitive. This is a country of over 250 ethnic groups, so we will see things differently, we will approach things differently. Also being mindful of that and how we relate with each other, I think it's extremely important. And that also ties into how we also share news. So you talked about a lot of the stuff that was shared on social media, some being, I mean, we've at least in our office, finding that some footage were from Congo or Rwanda. Yeah. So if we're talking about all these things happening, and we are also not being responsible in how we are processing this information. So I think, for me, those are the different buckets of what exactly is happening and trying to put the pieces together. Yeah. But ultimately, it's what needs to happen, maybe that's where to go with that, is there needs to be some clarity about what is it that are the issues, people understanding the issues, communities understanding where to go for help. And I mean, one of the things that's very strong for me is in March of this year, when the president went to Benue and said, oh, I told the IG of police to go to Benue. I think it was in Nasarawa when he mentioned, oh no, it was in Benue when he went to visit. He said he told the IG of police to go to Benue in January, that he did not know he didn't go. And so he sort of said it very flippantly. And so when you have images like that in the minds of citizens, people then begin to ask questions that, wait a minute, if we're talking about lives being lost and the person who's the head of the police was asked to do something and he didn't do it, and it was mentioned in a very flippant way, that way, what does that mean? and what should we be mindful of?
Which brings me to my next question now, though. I mean, empathy is not it's not necessarily going to cure anything, but it's also very important. And a lot of people have said that, amongst Nigerians even, you don't seem to find that a lot. But most importantly, from the leadership, do you see that enough? I mean, I know we do see the occasional tweets saying or commiserating with people. The president was hailed, interestingly, for going to Plateau State while it was raining. Do you see enough of that to believe that, like she said, there's even an honesty about all of this?
No, because one, we see a lot of condolence messages and all that, which is always expected, but it's beyond the condolence messages because people have lost their lives. People have lost their families, people have lost their livelihoods for something that most times is not even necessary in the first place. And it's saddening and very kind of annoying when advocates of the president now go to social media and say that him going in the rain to a place where people were killed for a needless cause
was a sign of leadership.
Was a sign of leadership, was a sign of him doing something he's supposed to do or something that was not even supposed to happen in the first place. And the occasional, we'll send a condolence team, we'll do this and do that. It doesn't work, it doesn't help, because in the first place, people should not be killed for something that isn't even supposed to happen in the first place. There's no reason why people should lose their lives overnight. And it's not even one person. It's scores of people slaughtered.
One person is bad enough.
One person is bad enough, but scores of people are killed overnight for no justifiable cause. And the next thing, we see a propagandist approach to it by the government.